You guys remember this? Come on. The Nintendo 64 era. Do you guys remember this? The THQ game that set the trend. Welcome back to the SmarkTank Revolution, where we always kick out at 2. I am your host, flying solo today, Mr. Donnie Wonderful, the benevolent, intelligent, aka Big Time Donnie. And we're just going down memory lane today. And I just had to plug this mic up and record my thoughts on this. WCW versus NWO World Tour. Believe it came out either late 1997 or 1998. Right, the game that followed this was Revenge, but this game right here really set the trend for everything great in THQ wrestling games. If you guys weren't around for our younger audience, the N64, the Nintendo 64, 4 players could play on this thing. I love that console, man. When you talk about my childhood, you got the NES, the SNES, the Sega Genesis, and then the game changers, in my opinion, which were the Sony PlayStations and the Nintendo 64. The Xbox came after the millennium, but like in the 90s, this was the bee's knees. And amongst my some of my favorite games, and we'll go down the line and we'll give a review, or we'll just give a quick nostalgia video of these games. But you had WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy, the THQ, both of those were THQ as well. Revenge, and of course WCW versus NWO World Tour. And me and my buddies used to play this religiously. I loved, by the way, the inclusion of, they had the independent union and the Dead or Alive. A few guys from the Dead or Alive roster, and I used to use Hannibal, which his move off the ropes is the I can't think of Kofi Kingston's finisher, the kick. I can't think of it right now. For some reason, it escapes me. But but yeah, man, like this game, the roster was packed. For the NWO, I remember if you picked six, he did the crotch chop taunt. Hogan obviously is on the cover. I remember Sting. You can either be WCW Sting or NWO Sting. You can switch the outfits. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Randy Savage. I remember Diamond Dallas Page being in it. The Giant, obviously. Ric Flair, Ultimo Dragon, which I always thought they made him look fat in that game. Was no, Scotty Riggs was on Revenge. I don't think he was on this one. Chris Benoit, because I used to pick Benoit. William Regal, well, at the time, Lord Steven Regal. It had a great roster. It didn't have everybody, but it didn't need everybody either. And this was right before the blossom of Bill Goldberg. Um, go on YouTube and just look at the like the playthrough, or actual game footage of this. you know it doesn't age well for 2022, but for 1997/1990, I'm a lean towards 1998. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it was 98. Yeah, it had to be 98. So yeah, but back in 1998, just being able to plug up 4 controllers and play on a 19 to 22-inch screen was everything. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours this has consumed on my Saturday afternoons with friends. And I'm trying to think of, now I'm getting the modes confused, because I know in Revenge you could have done the battle royal, and you can only have 4 players in at a time, and that was fun. But I guess that's for another video. But this, if you've never played this, I think that you've really done yourself a injustice. And if you are a child and never played this, then a major key game has practically deprived your childhood because this game was just fun and they got better as the years went on. But I just wanted to I saw this, somebody posted a picture of this and just very impromptu as we always do on this channel, so you get the raw and uncut edited live reactions of us. But I saw this and I just had to just say something on it and share it with the supporters of the Smart Tank Revolution. And if you guys enjoyed this game, leave it in the comments section. Tell me what was some of your favorite components and some of your, favorite characters you played as. I would typically always use Thing or the Giant. Oh, I would use Lex Luger too. I remember that. Lex Luger, Hannibal, Sting, and the Giant, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to consult some of my sandbox buddies to verify because Chris Benoit. I used to always use the crippler. So but yeah, man, I'm interested. Like the visual always sparks nostalgia, and I hope that it does for our faithful listeners and supporters. And I hope you guys engage in the comment section because I want to know what memories this game brings up for you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exclusive here. Just as I powered down the microphone after I went on my tyrannical tangent about NWO versus WCW World Tour, one of my aforementioned sandbox buddies happens to call me. He goes by the name of Brother Gino. Are you there, Brother Gino?
I'm here.
He's here. So when we spent the countless hours playing WCW versus NWO World Tour, tell us about those Saturdays. Tell us about those moves. What do you remember? Because we shared this moment together.
Oh man, that was a lot of good times. A lot of not a little serious. Because you couldn't just play games with your boys. It was always you were always trying to see who was going to be top dog. So you were always coming up with different strategies. So people figured out that you could KO people in the game. One of the things you could do to get them to that point of KO and them not getting back up was power bomb them repeatedly.
Or
So
or
things would be
or or the clothesline, right?
Oh yeah, well, the clothesline worked, but you had to throw them into the ropes, run into. But that was after you know you had to loosen them up a little bit, so that'd be like maybe two or three power bombs. Then you could clothesline them. Then you figured out the other thing that no one else talked about, which was to get out of a pin. So if someone ever pinned you, you could hit the joystick in the middle,
Oh yeah, the
and it would
little
automatically
the,
it would
the
break the hold.
yeah, the little analog stick. And also, yeah, that was kind of like a cheat code because if people didn't know about it, like they would be smashing buttons because you could also escape submissions that way too. You remember like
When
so
you
somebody put you in a submission, you just hit the little toggle stick and then you'll break right out of it.
Yeah, but then after a while, it only worked for so long because after four or five power bombs, you're just not getting up after that. So we figured that out, and again, anybody who wasn't in our little crew that played, it was a little unfair. We played everybody else because they didn't know about the little tricks that we knew because we played it all the
We
time.
played it all the time. And this is before for our listeners again. This is 1998 now. This is before Revenge came out. So I remember they had the Dead or Alive roster and they had the Independent Union roster. And I used to because I used to love Hannibal. Um uh what was I think it was the kick that he did. I couldn't remember earlier. I think Kofi Kingston uses it now. I think what no, SOS is the name. Thunder in Paradise, something crazy. But anyway, but like that was another KO move too. And I think most of the times when we played that the highest method of victory that we would use is the KO. Do you remember that being true?
Oh yeah, yeah. You didn't win by submission. We didn't win by pinfall. You went for the KO because you didn't want, the pin. If you played the way we played and you try to pin or get a submission, the match would go on for 40 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So the KO was the only way, and that was, probably 5, 6 minutes tops. You went for KO. Nobody went for submission. In fact, all our matches are always KO.
Man, I tell you, man, like that Nintendo 64 was such a groundbreaking console. I mean, we can all do it now because we can play online. By the way, if anybody hears this and you get PS, Network, Xbox, my gamer tag is Don Black 617. Play at your own risk. But back then, when you actually had to be next to each other in front of a television, like you can't beat that type of energy. And that was always a method that favored me because, as you know, I am a psychological mastermind. And if you're next to me and I get to actually talk to you, I can disturb your rhythm. And in this game, there's no change. There was no different. I was, like I still, like on Call of Duty and everything, like I'm still able to be the vexatious verbal villain that I am. But do you remember what it felt like to lose to me?
Well, for anybody listening, he backed it up most days. He won his share. He also
I did,
lost his share.
I did.
So I mean, it wasn't there wasn't we didn't have a clear, if you want to call it, there was no clear top dog. It was whoever, honestly, whoever got lucky that day. It was what it was. But yeah, he would get in your head, and if you didn't if you play if you weren't, I'll say, mentally strong in your head,
That's fair.
he could just psych you out. It was almost like a. That's why playing anybody else that wasn't in our little group was always an advantage because we was always talking, we were always trash talking, and on top of that, for a little bit of pulling the curtain back, the setting for this usually would be either his house or if it was at my house, I had my brothers. My brothers would be there. I had two brothers. We have another one of our compadres there. So there'd be 6, 7 people in there watching, and it's not just him talking; it's everybody
Yeah,
talking. And so you kind of had to have thick skin because you'd get on the mic and play, and if you got destroyed, you wouldn't hear the end of it.
you would not
That was it.
hear the end of it.
And so
Y'all want to talk about high
you
pressure moments? Y'all want to talk about blood pressure boiling to hypertension status? Imagine losing in this game in front of everyone. And then as the games got better, they got intricately more stylistic and they became more realistic. And now, like I remember, and we're not even talking about revenge, but do you remember you were a Sting fan? Of course, Bret Hart's the greatest professional wrestler ever laced a pair of boots. I literally just told him this weeks ago to his face, and he agreed. But do you remember when we had the battle for the sharpshooter? Matter of fact, we got to save that for the next one because this is the first game. We're only going to talk about World Tour here. But yeah, man, like this, there was no other game like it at its time. Would you can agree to that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, this Nintendo 64. In the early days, this is not notwithstanding with the other games that would be released. But upon the time that this game was released, this game and GoldenEye was a staple. Everybody had these two games, and if you had these two games, I'll throw Mario Kart in there too. You had a weekend where it was going to always be interesting because you were going to be playing one of those three games. But with this, there were so many things you could do with it. And one of the things that people don't really talk about with it, not only could you play 4 players, but if you were a tournament person, you could set up your own little tournaments. I used to
Yep,
like to take the tag team from WCW, tag team from NWO, the tag team from the two other brands. And you could make little tournaments up, see who
yep,
was going to get belts, and you could and then you could, if you got bored, you could just watch, see how the AI would use this person and this person. I used to um I used to always do that. I remember I discovered the Claw. I think it was the Claw and the Unknown. Those were
yeah,
the two characters. That team always had the most success.
yeah.
I would see them beat everybody.
I'm
So,
telling you, like this really allowed you to play Dream Booker or guest Booker. And like if you were doing it with toys, that kind of captured the same type of energy too. But when you were able to do it with video games, and then they added the entrances, and there's people that actually do it with the WW2K games now. Like there's all kinds of leagues where they create their own guys or they create their own scenarios, and it just really gives us that Vince McMahon, Triple H, Tony Khan perspective, just in a little small slight sense. But yeah, gang, this is one of the games that we loved playing, and we're gonna continue on the series. Like I'm gonna talk about revenge, me or Joey Business. We're gonna talk about revenge, and then when we get to WrestleMania 2000s and No Mercy, oh my God. Oh my
Uh,
goodness. And
one thing,
brother
can I
Gino
share one other
knows.
thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One other thing, when we're talking about the dream booking, one of the things with that, and I can proudly say this, and you can back me up. You remember the stable I made? It's funny because now NEW used it, but back in the '90s, it was mine. Inner Circle.
Oh yeah, it's
That's how you know you're
in a circle.
so.
Oh,
When I
oh,
heard that, I was like, man, that was my favorite thing
I
of
had
my wrestling.
yeah, we had your brother had the deadhead.
Yeah, he was the no, not, yeah, well, yeah, the Deadheads, yeah.
Your
You
brother
had the Black Knights,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was me. But I had got that from Wu Tang. But the Black Knights of the North Star. We had man, we had a couple of interesting names.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And I
but
just I just thought of that, man. The Inner Circle. I heard about that.
the
I
inner
don't watch
circle.
AEW as much, but I heard that was the stable. They had a stable name. Jericho had it. I was
Yep.
like, wow, okay.
Chris Jericho, Tony Khan, you owe brother Gino some royalty money.
That's okay. It's all good. The
Hey,
fact that
hey,
they're
hey,
using it makes me know I was ahead of my time.
well, he said that, he's speaking emotionally, but I want his royalty money, Tony. Chris, I'll be on the line with you guys.